So, I had just gotten out of a pretty significant relationship with someone of 4 years, nearly engaged and moving in together, etc., when things fell apart. I took a good amount of time to be on my own and get my shit together again when my friends began encouraging me to get back out there. Needless to say, I really wasn't wanting anything at that point, nor looking for anything, but they insisted that I at least just go out on a few casual dates for practice, just to kind of get my skills back up for when I was ready. I think they were honestly just worried because I had become quite hermetic. So I matched with this girl who's home from college for the summer. She's a little out of the way from me, but was eager to meet, seemed really interested, was even willing to come to my area, etc. I really wasn't all that interested, to be truthful. But my friends again encouraged this. Practice. Whatever that means. A date doesn't mean commitment. Whatever. I want to be very clear, though, that I was extremely honest and explicit with her that I was not looking for anything serious, or anything really at all. I was very forthcoming that I had gotten out of something serious, and I was just kind of encouraged to explore. She persisted, and still wanted to meet, so we agreed to a casual lunch in a sports bar that week. I get there, and she was already waiting for me. I was a bit put off by how much different she looked than her pictures. Not trying to sound shallow or anything, but her pics from Tinder easily had to be at least 5 years old, which I verified based on tattoos she had in person versus ones she didn't in pics. So, I was a bit thrown off by that. I wasn't the least bit attracted to her, but I was there to just have new experiences anyway, right? No big deal. I felt so bad because the entire time she seemed so incredibly shy and awkward. I even noticed her hand shaking when she reached for her glass, which I found endearing, honestly. So, I did my best to get her talking and try to help her feel more relaxed. I asked her questions and chatted about things I figured you chat about on dates. Where she grew up, music she's into, school she goes to, major, etc. All to which I literally received one-word answers. It went on like this for about an hour, and she was just not working with me at all. But I tried to keep room in my heart because it was clear she was feeling anxious, and I understand that on a personal level. Then she pulls out this book and says, "I got this for you," and I responded very grateful, thanking her and inquiring what it was about, 'cause hey, if someone wants to share a good read with me, I'm all for that. She looks at me funny and says, in a very sudden but odd tone, "You're kidding, right?" I'm very confused and just kind of look at her like, and she says, "This is your favorite book? You told me this was your favorite book." To which I said, no, I have never even heard of this before." So we concluded that she ultimately got me confused with someone else she must have been chatting, which I honestly found hilarious. She was embarrassed, but I made light of it and said I found it funny because I get it. That's Tinder culture, I guess. So, as we finished lunch, and I'm still receiving one-word answers despite our funny moment, I kind of become a bit suggestive that we should conclude our date by saying I had to get back to feed my animals and do some laundry, etc. But she became very adamant on spending more time and asked if we could do something else. I was genuinely trying to be a decent person, so I agreed, and we found a nearby park to walk. That's where shit gets weird. We sat on a park bench. Mind you, it's broad daylight. There's kids playing basketball nearby. folks jogging past. I start trying to make conversation yet again, but still get the one-word answers. Then out of seemingly nowhere, without any warning whatsoever, she proceeds to just kiss me really aggressively, tongue and everything. I was honestly just so shocked I stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. I had this timid, shy woman who's really not made much conversation with me at all, who was so nervous she was visibly shaking, just turned into a freaking bear mauling my face in like 0.6 seconds. My head was spinning with confusion and anxiety, and I swear it felt like it lasted forever, and I just prayed for it to stop. I was so put off, and honestly a bit afraid to do or say anything. Like, what do you even do in that situation? I was just hoping she'd pick up on my very obvious body language, that I wasn't reciprocating anything at all. I was completely unprepared for a situation like this. Then some really nasty guy walks by, gawking and catcalling, and literally begins propositioning us into a three-way. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I need to get out of here. I was 1,000 different types of uncomfortable. I end up managing to ward him off after telling him very politely no more than several times, all the while she's just laughing. And I'm thinking, who even are you? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over here. So he leaves, and I'm insisting now that I need to leave and go home. She seems to ignore what I'm saying and gets very close to my face again and says, "Did you like that? Do you think I'm sexy? Do you want me?" When I tell you, I was so nervous. I was like, I really need to get home. And she was like, "Can I come?" And I told her very firmly, no. She literally tried to persuade me to let her come back to my place with me, and I had to say no more than 3 times. So finally I'm home, and frankly just kind of shaken up. I hadn't really done the dating thing in quite a long time, but that felt very abnormal. She then texts me after she gets home and asks me out on a second date, and I was very kind despite being made incredibly uncomfortable, and I told her I thought she was a very cool chick and I had a nice time. A lie, but that I did not feel anything there, and reminded her I wasn't looking for anything. She then text bombed me a bunch of crazy stuff, saying how she didn't understand and was so confused, that she thought I was so into her and that things went great. I did not respond to any of these because now she's continuing to cross my boundaries. I said what I needed to say, and I thought I was being decent by at least being honest. So the text continued, and I figured they're going to eventually stop because it was a first date. How can someone be so upset over someone not reciprocating on a first date? They did not stop. By the text, you would have thought we just ended a 2-year relationship. Then she began calling, at which point I had to block her number. So, nightmare, Tinder girl, please, for the love of everything, let's never, ever meet again. I'm a 23-year-old girl, and last night I had a talk with my dad, which made me shiver. There is this hotel at the Bulgarian seaside in which we have an apartment. To be honest, that's a strong word for it, because it's just a big room with giant bed, refrigerator, big windows on both of the walls, and a small bathroom. It's on a ground floor, and again, both of the walls are facing the parking lot of the hotel. Despite all that, it's perfect for me alone. It's right next to the beach, and that's why I've been spending some of my summer vacations there. So, July 3 years ago, I'm spending a week with my ex-boyfriend there, and 3 to 4 weeks alone. After that, my ex always said that the owners of the hotel are a bunch of creeps. Whenever we went out of the room, we had to walk a path passing through the reception, where they used to sit all day doing nothing. The old dad was like 60, his son Crumb 40 I think, his daughter maybe 45, and her husband. When you pass, they all get silent and stare at you. Every freaking time. I was used to it already, but the BF was irritated, especially when he caught Crumb staring at my ass smiling. After that, he used to stare him down, deadly, right in the eye, whenever he got a chance. So, my ex goes back to the city, and it's now the 3rd week I've been alone, and the night is really hot. So I open both windows, wide open, and put the curtains above them to defend myself from being peeked at. After all, I'm at ground level, and my bed is right below both of the windows. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I feel like someone's watching me. This happens the next few nights. I'm easily scared and paranoid, but I was alone there, so I've been telling myself to chill, and that's just my crazy mind trying to scare itself. Some nights went by without problem. Meanwhile, Crumb tried to talk with me 2 or 3 times when I'm off to the beach. So, it's around 1 a.m., I'm falling asleep, and I hear footsteps outside the path. It's not strange. There are some people next to me staying at the same kind of apartment. Maybe someone's coming home, or going out partying, but the steps stop at one point, really close outside. I hear all of it because of the opened windows. I'm sitting in the bed now and listening when I notice that the freaking door handle is moving slowly up and down. I almost screamed, but stayed quiet and gave some nice job girl to myself for locking the door. After that, nothing happened, and the person just walked away. I closed the windows, called my dad, and told him what just happened. He told me to lock and close everything, and that he'll take me in the morning. It's a 5-hour drive. This was 3 years ago. Last night, we're having dinner, and my dad is like, "Do you remember your sea adventures?" And he proceeds to tell me that he has made his own little investigation back in the day and asked the owners of the hotel for security camera records. They check the ones at the parking lot and see a male figure walking around. The part with the door handle wasn't in the camera's range though. My dad remembers of my strange midnight waking up routine and tells them to check older records, in which they all see a man getting at my window and peeking through the curtains, standing like that for 15-20 minutes. The woman finally recognized her brother and told my dad he has mental disabilities and begged him to not press any charges and that they'll take better care for him and look after him. So good guy dad did not press charges, and it appears we're selling the apartment. So anyone interested in buying, and held in captivity for 3 years. I was picked up by a stranger from school, posing to be my dad's friend, saying that he would drop me off to the airport to catch a flight with my dad. Not only did I actually have to travel with my dad that day, but this man somehow knew my dad was getting off early from work. He told me that morning, and that he had to go fishing with his friend. He did this a lot. He told me that my dad sent him to pick me up and meet him directly at the airport. I believed him, convinced my teachers I knew him, because I was excited to go to the airport, and left with him. I was held in captivity for 3 years. I was assaulted, beaten, starved. 11-year-old me had learned to make him trust me. It started with us going around in his car, although I had to sit in the backseat and stay quiet the whole time. He let me come into his kitchen and make food for myself. He let me clean his house. The day we went to feed the ducks at the park, I ran. I ran as fast as my weak legs could carry me. Because of the crowd, I think he lost me. I begged a family for help, telling them I was kidnapped and I wanted to go home. I told them my name, my school's name, and my parents' names. Long story short, they caught him. He killed himself. I was back with my dad, my sisters, my dogs. I'm now happily married to my wife of 4 years, still undergoing therapy, have a good job, and a baby on the way. When I was 16, some friends and I went to an outdoor concert festival thing. We parked at the mall and took a shuttle to the venue. For perspective, the mall is a 20-minute drive from our homes, and the venue is another 20 minutes away in a different direction. During the concert, I end up losing my friends in the crowd. I didn't care much, as I wanted to get to the front, and I could just call them after the concert ended. Well, of course, I lose my phone somewhere in the sea of people and don't even notice till the last show wraps up. I search the ground as the people dissipate with no luck. Reluctantly, I just hop on the bus, heading back to the mall, hoping to meet them at the car. The car is gone, and I start to freak out a little bit. It's 10 p.m. when I head to the bus station to see when the next bus to my city is coming. Just my luck, it happens to be Memorial Day, so no buses till 10 a.m. I borrow a stranger's phone and call the 2 numbers I know, my mom and brother. My mom doesn't answer. My brother does. He basically gives me the sucks to suck, talk, and hangs up. So, I'm alone, scared, and a little drunk in a city I don't know. I try walking, but quickly give up when I realize I'm basically walking down a random highway toward who knows where. Back at the station, I'm just staring at the map when a stranger creeps up behind me. He asks where I'm heading, and I tell him the truth. He, conveniently, is going to the same city and asks if I'd like to split a cab. Realizing this is my only option, as I didn't have enough on my own, we get in the car. Turns out, he has even less than I do. We barely have enough to get to the heart of the city, which is a 10-minute drive from my house, but at least I know my way home from there. During the drive, this guy gets progressively creepier. He is aware I'm 16, he's 25. He scoots closer every minute, touching me, insisting I come with him back to his place, and even writes his phone number on my bare leg. As we get there, I realize the situation I'm in. We are about to get out in a quiet area at 2 a.m., and the cabbie is going to drive off, leaving no one to hear me scream. The second he gets out, I turn to the driver and beg him to take me a few streets further, so I could at least put some distance from him and me. The cab driver hadn't said a word the whole way, but he definitely heard everything. He asked me for my address and drives me all the way home. Creeper watches as the cab drives off, me still inside. When we got to my home, I offered to wake my mom up to pay him, but he declined, saying he's just glad I'm safe. I broke in through the kitchen window, got to bed, and cried my tears of relief for who knows how long.